but like I'm not gone.
Yeah, well, you know what that's going to be like. This is part 2 of the part 3 of, I guess, the Halloween
special.
special.
It's November 1st.
This is now part 3 because part 1's missing.
Oh,
It's
fuck.
gone forever.
This is part 4 then.
Well, no,
Oh, no,
because
you're right,
part
it's part
1
3.
doesn't exist. That was
Right.
just us talking.
Damn it.
Now, because that file's gone.
No.
But we were just talking about. I literally changed this over in the span of about 30 seconds. How did I lose my train of thought?
It's because we're going so fast.
Okay.
We were talking about
The judgment.
Yeah, judgment.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what you wanted to talk
Okay.
about. Being judged.
And people looking at you for the point you're at in life, right? Mm-hmm. But you're a person that's adaptable, intelligent.
Thank the fucking God.
And, you are going to, move yourself through different aspects of life.
I forget
You're on an epic.
Yeah, I really am.
This is
EPO or EP. Wait, EPIC. Yes. Right.
EPIC.
I was going to spell it EPIC.
This is your odyssey. This is one stop. And people look at that one moment in time and decide whether or not you're worth their time. But they don't see what you're capable of. All they see is what you're doing. Right? And I've found that the true friends are the ones that will stay with you on that journey. Right?
Yeah, dude.
And the ones that don't discard you on theirs. Jeremy's one of them.
Really?
Yeah. Jeremy's seen some of my bad times. Which I have had bad times. You want to talk about, Yeah, okay. So we're... Judgment, right?
Yeah.
So, there was a point I was going through puberty. Right?
Fuck puberty. Puberty was a nightmare for me.
That was great.
It was an absolute catastrophe.
I like it. Learned how to... Oh, never mind.
I think we know what that was.
Yeah. I'm going to post this to Facebook. So.
Psych.
Anyway. You know what I mean. The 5-knuckle shuffle.
Oh my God. Do you really have to say it like
Yeah.
that?
Anyway. But, so I was on XR, amphetamines, and I wasn't aware of what it did to my psyche and my emotions, which are already, in turmoil through puberty. Right?
We're already at,
But the strong dosage and the length of time for, an XR, and I had to scientifically, through... Well, applied science, right? My own self-applied science. Figure this out. To me, I was just crazy. But I had to fuck up a lot to figure this out. The change in the brain chemistry created a bipolarity in who I was. Mm-hmm. Now, I had my first girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know where this is going. It's fucking bad. Anyway.
I would lose my fucking mind.
So.
I did not date in high school.
Oh, dude, when I'm me, this podcast is very different from some of my other ones because I do them on Adderall. But this is me. This is Alan Haig. Mm-hmm. But, it'd be a very charming person, right?
Shocking.
So I got my girlfriend, but then I would take that medication and just...
Shut down.
Go inward. And all thought, then there's a little bit of paranoia, which would be caused by the medication, and I would just be quiet. 2 different people, right? And I would want to be by myself. When her and I were together, and I was me, Alan, right? Mm-hmm. It was amazing. But see, I didn't even fully understand this at the time, so I couldn't explain it to her. But when I was on it, isolate. I wouldn't talk to her. Like, I was anxious about talking to anyone. I just, like, shut myself off in my room, and she, like, yelled at me for... She broke up with me and said, "You don't care about me. You're inattentive. And, like, I don't know what you do, but, like, you obviously don't care about me because, you know, you just ignore me for long periods of time."
But you were probably thinking about her all the time.
No.
Oh.
Actually, no. Because I dialed into other things and I was so focused and zoned in, like everything else screened out, right? But it's not like a choice that I made. And I'm trying to diagnose why this is happening, right? So the breakup happens. And that throws my emotions just completely into turmoil.
Yeah.
Right? And another thing about, well, it was Vyvanse, but...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it also kind of distorts your memory.
Right.
And that's another reason I started doing a podcast, so I can get my memories out there, because I'm forgetting things, man. But, so I did a lot of reflection on the relationship and what went wrong, and I would look at certain moments, and when I was on it, I was like, oh my God, this is my fault. Like, I was inattentive. I was all these things. I should have treated you better. I'm more susceptible to take blame when on it. When I was off of it, I was like, it's her fault.
Oh.
Because there were things on both sides.
Well, sure, yeah, they're always
right.
There.
So I would highlight these aspects, but what it did was every time I'd cycle on and off of the medication, I would have a different opinion on it.
That would just be agonizing.
Oh my God.
I mean, that
I
would
thought
like
I was insane.
I would
And she thought I was insane, because one day I would call her out for what I thought, some pieces were her faults. And I would call her out for that, and the next day I'm just apologizing my ass off. And she would tell people this, and some people thought I was a psychopath. Like, I legitimately...
I guess it's not far out of the question.
...was crazy. And the thing is, I had two competing frames of mind with the same name.
Yeah.
How do you define Alan Haig in that moment? Like, and it's crazy. And through that entire period of discovery and figuring out, how things are polar, and that's why I still can't date. I mean, that would never, it wouldn't happen like that now, but it's just like, I can't put someone, like, through that duality, even though it's, like, it would be far less severe than it was back then, because...
You've been able to moderate it to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I get certain thoughts, I can kind of tell myself that's, this is reality, this is not. But those perceptions stuck with me through that entire period of experience, trial and error, and discovery. And I never got to completely tell that story. And you know what? To some people, still, to this day, they legitimately think I'm insane and won't talk to me.
High school friends and stuff that know her, or...
Yeah. Jeremy's
That
actually
sucks.
seen, like, some of that.
Really?
Yeah. But we're talking about judgment, and that's a perfect example
Uh-oh.
of like taking a specific moment in life and not accounting for change. When you look at a person and whether you want them in your life, you shouldn't look at the here and now.
Right.
You should look at the then, now, and later. And their ability to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take over?
Yeah.
I feel like I just dropped some heavy shit on you.
No, yeah. I mean, in my experience, like that's what was going on with Jeff, for example. I know I've seen that with him, but also just like with myself, trying to build up and out of like whatever cave it was that I like found myself like trapped in when I was like dealing with myself, but it didn't manifest as much as split personalities as you until I started to realize that.
Well, you got to think, I grew up on...
Right.
So I never objectively and like fully understood my own identity.
I started to notice or sense a kind of a differentiation in my own personality when as I started to experience more and more things in my life, and I would revisit my past, and it would remind me, in a way it would reaffirm who I used to be, and it would reaffirm those strengths in the things that I know I've been able to persevere with, like which aspects of my personality have been able to persevere through and through, you know. But on the same token, it would also remind me of how I don't necessarily like interact anymore with certain groups of people, and how I have moved, how I've moved forward. And then I have to talk myself down and tell myself like those people are not really a part of my life, because they don't need to be anymore, But part of me still values the nostalgia to a degree, and still values the loyalty to such a degree that like I will retain aspects of my personality only with those individuals. And it's weird when different timelines merge, and it's always through people. It's always through other people for me. Like I ground myself like in my experiences through other people. Like, and you and Jade and gosh, maybe Jenna have all been like, have been the three main characters. Those are two of my other close friends. Have been the three main characters that have been able to persevere through all of these changes. And it's really...
Yeah, keep going.
And it's really, like, helped me redefine myself. And, sometimes. And, those experiences alone, because that's how much I value loyalty, I guess. And to me, that's what makes the difference. And I have been in the past, I've suffered because of that unbridled loyalty to somebody. With Jake, for example, my old best friend.
Oh yeah,
next door neighbor.
Well,
and we're dropping a lot of names here, but these are people who have affected me.
We're not here to like rag on anyone or put people's laundry out there, but right. This is like.
This is deeply personal shit.
This is my podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 minutes in, and it's like one name drop, and we're not even giving last names.
No.
It was like,
we'll keep
here's their Twitter handle.
No, yeah.
Send them hate mail.
And these are all good people, don't get me wrong. But they have...
I've always found that loyalty it can be very harmful.
Mm-hmm.
If it's misplaced, and you should always reassess your loyalty, because like we were talking about earlier, you need to account for change.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't think blind loyalty, you need to be able to judge each situation based on, who's justified
right.
in the situation.
Yeah.
And I think loyalty, if you're truly loyal to somebody, you should tell them you're wrong.